Morning, guys. Welcome to Coffee Chat. Mmm. Wow, man, you had to know that God is good, that He would create some kind of little innocuous bean like that and let mankind discover it and turn it into such an amazing, delicious, beautiful drink like we have right here. Hey, what do you think of my new cup? Judy picked this up at one of the local Starbucks, this Texas cup, and looks pretty neat, and it fills up pretty a lot of coffee in there, so that's nice. Anyway, guys, I was reading two articles today, and the first one is really a big deal. So here you have Iran and Russia developing a stablecoin backed by gold to transact globally cross-border outside of the US dollar. I'm telling you guys, this is going to have massive implications. The petrodollar, as the US dollar has come to be known, and known as, of course, the world reserve currency, we have gone to war over people threatening just to use any kind of other means. Look at Gaddafi. We went to war against them over the fact that Gaddafi was really threatening to, sell his oil in gold. And of course, we know that the Gulf War was a big part of that, was the whole idea of getting out from underneath this whole petrodollar. Well, guys, you've got a major superpower like Russia, someone that has the teeth and the wherewithal to kick back and bite back, saying, look, we're done with this whole system. You're not going to throw your sanctions on us anymore. We're going to be developing through blockchain something that you cannot actually come in and thwart, and is not going to depend on your SWIFT banking system to be utilized. And we're going to establish a stable coin, and we're backing it by gold, and we're going to transact in that for cross-border payments, for cross-border trade, for you name it. And you've got Saudi Arabia coming out right now saying, hey, we're considering selling our oil in other methods than the US dollar. And of course, you're dealing with this whole BRICS nation thing. And I think, guys, it is going to lead to some kind of a global conflict like we have never seen before. Look, this whole Ukraine deal and what's going on there between Ukraine and Russia is literally it's kind of like the what do they call that? Oh my gosh, the igniting strip, the wire that, you light and the spark goes until it hits the mountain of TNT, and then boom. This has the potential to turn into one of the biggest conflicts the world has ever seen. And yes, it could potentially be maybe a WW3 situation. Let's pray and hope it doesn't come to that. But I'm telling you what's going on right now with this whole monetary war that's going on, this currency war that's going on, it is actually going to be big. And of course, now you have another global power like China, who has really come a long way in the last 50 years. And of course, they're actually supporting Russia, and they're doing intertrade as well. So it is going to be something quite amazing to see pan out. But I'll tell you what, guys, listen to this. These nations that are actually going to back their stable coins or their central bank digital currencies with gold and real world assets like that, that is going to provide such a level of confidence in those markets that it is literally going to blow the doors off of any other type of currencies that don't have that. Now, that is telltale. Why? Because when you're dealing with the global currencies, the fiat system that we have now, the whole premise of fiat means that it's currency that is backed by nothing other than the confidence that people have in the GDP or the economies of the nations producing them. And right now, of course, the US has enjoyed for a long time the world reserve currency status because it has had the biggest and strongest economy globally. Now, it still does right now, but that doesn't mean that it's always going to be that way. And people are losing a lot of confidence in the dollar, and big time. And why is that? Well, of course, it's because they went on this money printing spree like no tomorrow. And They've caused inflation to go absolutely hog wild, and they're going to try and tell us, oh, no, 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 it's not as bad as you think, and da 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 da. That is absolute hogwash, guys. The reality is, they are sitting on a ticking time bomb, and they really don't know how to slow this engine down, because we're going like literally right over a cliff here, and they know it. And the whole deal is how we're going to transition from fiat system that we're in right now into this new digital economy. The infrastructure is all ready, and they just have to have some sort of excuse to flip some of these switches and absolutely put us into this new economy. And it's going to happen fast. It's going to happen faster than most people realize, and the impact is going to be severe. You're going to see a shift in, the lifestyles of folks around the world. I think you're going to see a lot of third world countries rising up, and the lifestyles are going to greatly improve in those countries. But in countries in the West like Germany, UK, the US, Canada, Australia, you're going to see a big time drop in the average lifestyles of people here. Because why? We're going to lose that reserve currency status, guys. We're not going to be able to hold on to it. And that's why I believe it could lead to a really big global conflict, because the powers that be, they're not so easily willing to release those powers, that's for sure. Now, maybe it's going to be something like old Klaus Schwab is talking about there with this big global cyber attack. Who knows? But I do think some sort of trigger is going to happen where they're going to be, it's going to be almost like an overnight switch. Bang, bang. I think something like that's going to take place. Now, interestingly enough, the second article that I was reading has to do with the Flare and Songbird, airdrop that went down, and Coinbase not honoring that. And now you got this class action lawsuit led up by Fred Rispoli, I believe, and against Coinbase and Brian Armstrong, the CEO. And you know what, guys? I legitimately feel that it is a fair class action lawsuit, because Coinbase got all that Songbird and did not even distribute any of it to all the folks that held their assets on Coinbase. And remember, back then when the snapshot was being proposed, Coinbase lit out there and was really encouraging people not to take their XRP off of their exchanges, because we're gonna participate in this whole thing. And they were even trying to attract other people to get in and buy XRP at the time so that they could participate in the snapshot. And then they turned around and absolutely did nothing with the distribution of Songbird, and it looks like they're hardly doing anything with this distribution of Flare. So it's going to be really interesting. But I'll tell you what, if there was ever a class action lawsuit deserved to be filed, that one did. And I'm really happy the guys did it, because we have got to stand up for those things that are right. And if we don't, we just acquiesce, and we let people trample on us. Look, you teach people how to treat you. You really do. Now, you don't have to be mean and nasty and cruel about it. I always say there's two kinds of pride, right? There's arrogance, right, that puts you above everybody way up here. But then, guys, there's also dignity. And what dignity does, you treat yourself with respect, but dignity also treats others with respect. But that just means, hey, there's some boundaries here, of what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. And you don't just let yourself be a doormat and get walked all over. That is not what meekness is. Meekness is suffering offense without the desire to go back and really just stick it to somebody. But hey, look, there is a time and a place to stand up for what's right. And that's where I believe that these guys are in the right to do it. And it's so vitally important for the rest of us when it comes to, the potential future legislation that's going to govern this space. And especially with this Ripple case, by the way, I think that's going to actually set the tone for decades and decades to come, whatever the decision is. But that's where we get out there and vocalize what we desire, what we see in this space. Our voice matters. The pen truly is mightier than the sword. I genuinely believe that. And that's where in these democratic countries, like they're purporting to be in the UK, in the US, and all the other Commonwealth countries, and Germany, and on, you get out there and you literally let your politicians know what you feel and believe. Why is that so vitally important? Because, guys, All we need to be is a voter. We vote these people in to represent us. They're there to do a job to represent us, not to go there so that they can get to tell us how the rest of us ought to live. Well, many of them hardly, I don't think there's a person with a net worth less than 3 to 5 million sitting in Congress. I don't know that for a fact, but it seems like a lot of these guys go in there average, maybe they have a couple million here or there, but by the time they get out, they have hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. It's obscene. And that's where we need to, I think, clean house and really set the record straight and have a country that is for the people and by the people. Now, hey, that's what I believe anyway. And the way we get that, guys, is standing up and fighting for the rights that other people fought for us to have. And that's really what it is. Because if you don't, you end up losing them over time, bit by bit. The erosion of personal liberty, it's a slow, slow fade, but eventually it goes dark if you don't stand up and put some light on the situation. Anyway, that's what I think. Well, guys, I sure hope that you're having a fantastic day, and it looks like it's gearing up to be a good one. And until later on this afternoon, and we have a fantastic video on there later on this afternoon for you, have a great one and take care.